Have you ever found yourself very busy, like in a day, or the week has been busy, or you have just had an amazingly busy month, or even a busy year? And then when you look back over the things you wanted to do, you really didn't do the things you wanted to do, but you were busy. I'm going to tell you, busy does not mean progress. There are a lot of people who are busy, but they are not making progress. We have to start scheduling our priorities and not prioritizing our schedule. So what does that mean? We have to have goals. And how many of us have goals that we've not achieved, but we still have a full calendar? Like, we're doing something from, well, I get up at like 5:30, but some of us are getting up very early and staying up very late, but we're not seeing the needle move. And we have to get beyond that. And so I just want to encourage you with regard to that. There was a university professor teaching her class about prioritization. And so she had this big jar, and she put the jar on the table, and then she had a couple of items alongside of it. One item was a bag of rocks. So she took the rocks and she put all of the rocks in the jar, and she asked the class, she said, "Is this jar full?" And the class said, "Yes." You know, everybody said, "Yes, the jar is full. It's filled to the top with the rocks." Then she had next to that, the rocks, she had some sand. She took the sand and she poured it in to the jar, and the sand found its way into the cracks and the crevices, right? And then she said, "Is the jar full?" And everybody was a little hesitant now because it kind of figured out where this might be going. And some of them said yes, but with a little bit of hesitation. And then she took a pitcher of water, and in that same jar that was full with the rocks and that was full with the sand, she began to pour the water. And the water found all of the other spaces that were still available. And at that point, it overflowed. And then she said, "Is the jar full?" And of course, at that point, everybody absolutely had to agree, yes. And so that's the same way with our life. There are a lot of distractions that come along. There are a lot of little things that can come get in our way or get on our plate. And sometimes we feel like we have to serve that because that's what's on our plate. But if you are going to be productive, and if we're going to have progress in our lives, we have to identify what are the rocks. What are the things that are the most important that need to go in the jar first? Because guaranteed, if she had poured the sand in first, or if she had poured the water in first, the rocks would never have been able to get into that jar, if you know what I mean. Does that make sense? And so when we think about what our goals are, those are like the rocks. And then when we think about the fact that there are other things aside from the rocks, they can wait. We have to prioritize. We have to prioritize the things that are the most important for the place that we need to be based on the goals that we have in life. So distractions will come, and they will always be there. There will always be that person or that thing that is going to intercept the time that we have available. And we all have 168 hours, and I know we've heard this ad nauseum. We all have 168 hours. And the thing that I want to encourage us to realize is that when we allow distractions to get us off course, we are actually giving our part of our 168 hours to something or someone aside from the focus or the goals that we have. And ultimately, that person now has usurped our time, usurped the things that we're supposed to be doing and the things we're supposed to be giving our time to. And everybody has, I won't say everybody, but there are some of us who have people and things in our life that can jump on our schedule at a drop of a hat. And now all of a sudden we're giving that extra hour to that person or 5 hours to that person, which is diminishing the time that we have available to accomplish the things that we're supposed to be accomplishing. And the day I realized that, I don't know that it made me mad, but I became acutely aware that if that person has 168 hours and I have 168 hours and they're wasting their time and then coming and basically putting their hand out for my time, they're getting more time than they deserve, because we all have 168 hours. And so why are they wasting theirs and then coming and taking mine? And now I don't have the time to do the things that I'm supposed to do. So we have to keep our eye on how we utilize the time and everything that we have been entrusted with. Everything that we have been entrusted with, we have to realize how important that is. So when we have the priorities, or when we have goals, the thing that I have noticed about goals is, especially when they are really deep rooted, the world needs this kind of goals. Some of the things that are part of creating the realization of those goals can be hard, can really be hard. And what can happen to us is that we end up avoiding the hard because it's hard. Who wants to take on stuff that's hard? But, the things that are hard are a part of the growth that we need to have in order to become the person that we are becoming. And so we avoid that because it's going to take us out of our comfort zone. It's going to make us do something we don't necessarily want to do. It's going to make us, have to accomplish these things. So we avoid them. And I'm reminded of one of my favorite speakers of all time. And I don't know if anybody's familiar with Zig Ziglar. He is like, you want to talk about a GOAT, okay? He is actually the first speaker, the first professional development speaker, and the first professional development author that I ever read. And I'm talking 30 years ago. And his work changed my life. And one of the things that he talked about was eating the frog, that hard thing, that thing that, of all of my priorities, and this thing is important, but I can put it off, and I put it off, and I put it off. And he talked about eating the frog. He said, if you got to eat a frog, you may as well eat him in the morning. And this is Zig Ziglar and his Texas drawl, and I can't even do it anymore. But if you got to eat a frog, you may as well eat him in the morning, because the sucker ain't going to get any prettier as the day goes on. And you know what he means, right? You know that the longer you put off that hard thing, the worse it seems to get in your mind, and the harder it seems to just pull up and do it, right? The harder it seems. So we may as well just get her done, right? We may as well just get it done, because if we don't, we're not going to get to the next thing, because that hard thing, that may be the doorway, the gateway. Oh, I'm dating myself. Yeah, well, thank you so much. I don't look a day over 40. I love you. Send your Cash App, because, I'm going to hook you up for that. So I'm a few days over 40 though. So, but the hard thing is the gateway to the next hard thing. But when we can shoulder the effort that is needed for those hard things, then we will ultimately find ourselves being successful. Because again, I'm talking about Zig Ziglar. Success only comes before work in the dictionary. It only comes before work in the dictionary, because in order to get to success, there are some things we have to do. There are some things that we have to do. One of my mentors would say this: if your work is not working for you right now, then your work is working on you, so that you can become the person for whom your work will work. I'm going to say that again. If your work is not working for you, then your work is working on you, so that you can become the person for whom your work will work. Because there are some things that, as we think about our goals down the road, there are some things that we have to do to become the person that we need to be in order to really accomplish the thing that's down the road. Right now, we may not be able to do the thing. If you want to be an author, if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be a mother, there are certain things that right now you have to do that may not be on your hit parade, but you have to do them, and you have to master them, so that you can ultimately become the person who can carry out the goal that you really are seeking to attain. So that said, we have to identify, number one, identify what it is that we want. What is the goal? What is the desire? What is it that we want? And we have to commit and decide that that is the thing that we're going to accomplish. Then number two, identify the things that we need to do to get to the space of being able to accomplish that. What are the steps we need to take? And then we need to prioritize those steps, and we need to schedule our priorities, because nobody is going to do it for us. Nobody is going to do it for us. We have to do it, and we have to schedule our priorities. And the busy work and the things we're thinking about doing, the things we want to do. And let me look at my schedule to make sure I'm still on schedule for the day. And and for those who know me, know I have my schedule, right? So when we're thinking about the things that we need to accomplish and the things that we need to do, we need to stay on task and stay on point with regard to accomplishing those very things. Because there's nothing worse than ending the year having aspired to do something and then not having done that thing. And that time is gone. That time is over. And we cannot get time. That is one of the assets that we cannot recover. We can leverage our time, but we can't recover our time. Once it's gone, it is absolutely gone. So I just wanted to say, busyness is not progress. And if we want to accomplish something in life, we've got to roll up our sleeves and get her done. If you got to eat the frog, you may as well eat the frog in the morning, because it's not going to get any prettier as the day goes on. So I hope that encourages someone. I hope that somebody's taking out, that schedule and putting those things down to get her done, because at the end of the day, it's our responsibility to not only ourselves, but to the world, to actually accomplish the things that are in our heart. The world needs to hear us. So have an amazing remainder of your day and schedule those priorities.